Gente, tudo bem? Welcome back to Bezi's Garage. On this very first real inaugural episode, we're going to get into this. My first project car, a 2005 Mercedes-Benz E500 4MATIC, and we're going to go through every single thing that's wrong with it. Now, every YouTuber who first starts their channel, they always get something very broken. The front end is completely gone. The back is just still on fire, or maybe it was under 2.5 feet of water and has crabs living in it. But we're going to start off a little more tame on this project, and this video in particular is going to go through every single issue that I've personally found on the car, and we're going to try and catalog it into things that we need to get done right away in order to start driving it, and two, the things that will benefit it overall. And then if I can make a third category, it'd be the things that I want to do that will make it just better, like a better overall car, more enjoyable, more fun where I can. And so let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to get into is just the car itself. So again, this is a 2005 Mercedes E500 4MATIC, and I happened to get this from the state of Connecticut. I live just outside of Philadelphia in Northeast Pennsylvania, and getting in here was a bit of an ordeal, but I'm very glad that it's here, and I'm super excited to get working on it. So from the front, it looks pretty good at initial review. I will say that the gap we see here with the hood and the front bumper, that's going to be explained in a little bit once we kind of pop the hood and look in the internals. But I first want to kind of just get a glance of the front bumper, and then we can kind of work our way through the rest of the car through the rest of the video. So starting off with the bumper itself, the indicator light is there, which is great. The chrome is still there. Fog light is still intact, not broken. Looks pretty clear to me, although I think it could use a bit of cleaning and buffing to make it really shine a little bit more. Has a front license plate bracket, which I don't think is broken. Looks pretty good. We may keep that as it is for now. Moving on to the other fog light. What I will notice is that it looks darker than the other one, and I don't personally know why at the moment. It could have been that previous owners tried to tint the fog light and just didn't happen to do the other one, which doesn't make sense. But I'm also noticing a little bit of water inside the light housing itself, so we may need to take that out, kind of get it dried, and reseal it so that the water doesn't get in there in the future. But for the rest of the bumper itself, general fit with the quarter panel seems to be pretty good. Indicator light is still here. Chrome work is still here, which is nice. And if we go down underneath the front bumper, there's a little bit of scraping here, which is fine, and I'll explain why that may be the case. But if we keep going, we'll see that the bumper itself is actually in pretty good condition underneath. All seems to be in one piece, and nothing seems to be terribly broken. There may be a fastener or two that's missing, but happy to report that the bumper itself is in great shape. One thing to focus on while we're in the front bumper area are the headlight washers. Now this car came standard with headlight washers that will wash the larger light and the high beams, but I have not actually tested to see if it works or not. So we'll get an exclusive look. What's going on here? Well, it's there, but I haven't tried to see if it works or not. I will note that it's kind of just hanging out like that. That's not normal. So we'll try to see as we get to fixing this car if we can kind of get this to spring back to a flush position to make the bodywork feel a little more uniform. Go around to the other side for the other headlight washer. We'll kind of see the same thing. The headlight washer cover is not flush with the body. And actually, you know what? The headlight washer on the left side is gone. So that's fun. We'll need to add that to the list of things that we will buy for the car as time goes. My theory with the car overall is that as long as it treats us well, we will treat it well over time. We'll fix the things that are mandatory for us to get it on the road and drive it normally. But as time goes, if it continues to behave, we will keep giving it fresh parts, updates, and upgrades. Make it a great car for years to come. So the next thing to note, kind of while we're talking about the headlight washers, are the headlights themselves. So we'll kind of get into making sure that they all work. But I tested that before I bought it. But just generally, they're in pretty good condition. There's no cracks that I can see. But the headlights on both sides are very foggy and are just showing a lot of years worth of use. So I hope that a nice buffer and cleaning will bring back some shine and clarity to these lights in no time. What I had tried before and confirmed is that the turn signals work, the low beams work, the high beams work, and that the fog lights work down as well. We'll continue on here. I won't open the hood just yet, but we'll focus on the grille now. Overall, it is in very good condition. I will say that it's a little dirty and probably just needs a buffering and a polish to just bring the chrome shine out. But I noticed that the pull tab for the hood release normally is not supposed to be showing like this, and it's supposed to be flush and somewhat recessed into the grille itself. So I don't really know why the hood latch itself is still protruding out like this. I don't think it's because the hood itself is not fully flush with the body. And I'll get into, again, why the hood itself is not flush with the bumper. But I don't think that that's the cause. I think it might be because a spring or some sort of mechanism for the pull tab is not pulling the tab back into the hood appropriately. And as you guys can kind of tell, the famous star is gone. So while that's not the most important thing, it's got to have a star. It's a Mercedes. It's supposed to shine. We'll get that fixed. Don't worry. All right, next thing we'll address here is the hood itself. So the hood itself looks to be in very good condition. As far as I can tell, it doesn't seem to have any big bumps or dents in it or big scratches. But as you can tell in this lighting, that the top center of the hood is very faded. And I think that the paint just may need a little bit of correction to bring back some life and make it a more uniform black. But overall, the hood is in good condition. The vents for excess heat are in good condition, and they're there. Both of the washer jets are there. But as I'll actually get into in a small driving video, those don't work. And I have no idea why. It could be that a relay is not plugged in. It could be that they're clogged. I did notice when I bought the car that the headlight washer fluid, or the windshield washer fluid was basically bone dry. So maybe the line itself going to those headlight washers is just so bare that there's nothing there, but it could also be a motor. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out as we go. Moving on to the windshield area. The first thing you'll notice is that this is a dark boy. I think the previous owner had put a pretty severe window tint on the windshield. And we'll get into the windows, the side windows as well. But this has got to go. It was okay, in the initial purchase of the car, but due to local regulations, this tint has got to go away. So I'm hoping in the next video, you can go along with me as I just chip away at this tint to make sure that the windshield and any of the windows that had this tint return to their normal color, so we can be one step closer to getting this on the road. And I apologize for the noise. Some guys in motorcycles thinking they're cool. But anywho, continue on with the windshield. The windshield wiper blades themselves, I don't think there's anything severely wrong with them. They are old. And I know that this one works, but as you can tell, the passenger side wiper blade, it just decided to quit. It just decided to take a little bit of a siesta, and I don't really know why it's depressed like that. My first thought is that maybe some bolt holding the mechanism together is loose and needs to be tightened. But I also don't know if the motor itself maybe is just a little past its prime and needs replacement. We'll get into that too. But the overall blade itself, it's not that bad, I don't think. It still has some life in it. It's not frayed at all. And then the last thing we'll kind of check in here is just generally the condition of this little water gully and leave area. Please in the comments correct me what the appropriate name for this little catch area is called. I'd love to learn and get it right the next time. But overall, doesn't seem to be that bad. Yeah, you can kind of tell that it's a little old, but I don't see any cracks. I don't see anything missing, as it were. There's a lot of leaves and a lot of debris that in another video I'll get all cleaned out. But it all seems good from this side. All right, we'll stay above the belt line for this next part of the video because I'll get into lower parts of the car towards the end. But we'll keep going here towards this kind of rain catch here. You can see there's actually a bit of a gap between the windshield and this this part of trim here, and that is by design. It is so that rainwater can actually collect here and make sure it doesn't blow into the passenger or driver side windows, just to, you know, keep you a little more comfortable and keep you a little more secure in the rain. It's a nice touch. But the weather stripping here actually is in very good condition. I don't see any problems with that. And honestly, hold on. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Next part we'll do here is kind of staying above the belt line here. I will get to the lower part of the car towards the end of the video, but we'll just go to this kind of rain channel here and the one on the driver's side as well. This catch has actually got a gap here between the windshield and the panel itself, and that's by design. The intention here is to just ensure that whenever water does kind of leave the windshield, that it doesn't blow over into the passenger side or driver's side windows, so that you don't get water in your face. So that's a nice touch. And I believe it's also for aerodynamic and wind protection as well, so that you can have a more enjoyable ride if you want to have the windows down. What I'll also note is that the weather stripping itself is in very good condition on both sides, but that the actual panel itself is seeing a bit of chipping. Right? You'll see here that some of the top layer coating is peeling away. And you'll see that on the other side as well. But I do believe that this is a cosmetic thing. Just being 21 years old, it's seen a lot. And so the best thing to do here is just eventually to resurface the panel or possibly replace it with a new one, so that the top panel kind of removes or doesn't have this this fading anymore. We'll move on to next is the side mirror and the turn signal here. So first thing I notice here is that there is a gap between the body and the side mirror. I believe that there's supposed to be a small little panel here that kind of closes this gap. So this is all appearing to be one cohesive unit, but it's not really going to be impacting safety or the drivability of the car all that much. So for now, I will kind of keep that panel unreplaced for now. The turn signal marker itself actually seems to be in pretty good condition. When I tested it out, it was working just fine. And the mirror itself is actually in very good condition. Don't see any cracks at all. I don't see any hornets in here whatsoever. I had a friend who's doing their Subaru Impreza, and they had let it sit for a while outside. When they tried to do some maintenance on their own side mirror, it was full of hornets. So thanks for not having hornets. Great job, Mercedes. So next thing we'll do is we'll get into the side mirrors here. We'll start on this side. These mirrors, or these windows, are actually in very good condition. There's no cracks at all. There's no scratches. There's no nothing here except real dark tint. So it's the same thing with the windshield. We really need to get rid of this tint to make sure it complies with local regulations here in Pennsylvania. And so in one of the next videos, I'll just go through with the tools I need and just chip away so you can see the windows be a lot cleaner. The other thing I will note here in this area is the chrome on the lower part of the door surround or the window surround. It might be a little hard to catch on camera here, but the chrome itself looks to be kind of like a dipped chrome. I don't think that was the standard color for this, especially if you compare the chrome color on the door handle to the door itself. They are different hues. So I think that might have been a replacement, or that might have been a thing that a previous owner had just applied on top of the original chrome. So we'll try to get that replaced because I'd prefer the color of this chrome to match the color of this chrome where possible. All right, next thing we'll do here is this rear door. We'll kind of see the same thing here, the same vibe of the chrome on the door does not match the chrome on the handle, and it kind of extends to this piece here on the C-pillar. And you'll also note though that the weather stripping here is a lot worse for wear, but that will be addressed in a future video further down the road once we get into perfecting some cosmetic things. And the last thing I want to then get to, all right, then the next thing we will get into is this rear door. Again, we'll see that this real dark tint gotta go. We'll also see that the chrome on the door and this support pillar here does not match the color of the chrome on the door handle. And we want to make sure that that chrome matches, but that will be done in a future video. I'll make sure to take you along the ride when that gets fixed. Next thing here is this weather stripping. It is a little worse for wear. It's very dry rotted and eventually needs to be replaced. And I'll let you guys know when we start getting into the replacement of weather stripping and cosmetic things. That'll be short. And I'll let you guys know when the weather stripping is going to get fixed. That'll be in a future video, so stay tuned. Next thing that we'll address here while we're around is this support pillar for the roof. One thing that I will note outside of this weather stripping panel kind of being worn down where the top coat is just completely gone, is that if you look very closely, you'll kind of see what looks to be like a paint line or some sort of a vinyl application line here. I'm not 100% sure what this is, but my fingernail can get underneath it a little bit and feel the difference. So hopefully in a future video, we will kind of take this off and see what we're dealing with. I'm hoping that this isn't some sort of a rust cover-up kind of a thing, but I definitely don't think that it's a normal delineation here to go from smooth painted metal to what kind of feels like a different material. It definitely feels like some sort of a wrap, like a partial vinyl wrap. And you can kind of tell that the surface, how the light reflects off of this surface is different than how it reflects on this surface. So hopefully in a future video, I'll be ballsy enough to just take it off and see what happens. But if you kind of look in the light a little bit, you'll see some bumps here, which might be just air pockets, but they might be something else. I'm not 100% sure. If you look further into the panel itself, I think it's right here. Yeah, you'll see this little depression here. Now that might be like a spot of where the paint has just worn away, but I'm not 100% sure what that is at the moment. But trust me, we'll get that fixed too. But the vinyl wrap seems to stop here for whatever reason. If I pull this back, you can see that, you know, it just seems to be like some sort of a wrap. And the rest, what you're left with is just paint. So they definitely tried to apply some sort of a vinyl wrap or something here. And once I'm ready to kind of peel that all away, we'll get that fixed and resolved. All right, getting to the rear of the car now. The rest of this rear quarter panel is in great shape. There is a tiny little pinhole thing here. Might have been from a previous shopping cart or something. I'm not really sure. The only other thing to note here is, again, like a little bit of a dent here, which again might have been a shopping cart or someone, you know, bumped something into the car. It's not really that big of a deal. The fuel filler cap itself, in these cars, there was no like real lock on these. So you can just open it by doing what I did here. I'll show you again. Just kind of push on the opposite side. It opens up. And you can see a loose cap may turn on engine warning lamp. And there's all the tire pressures for the car, and it says premium fuel only. So you will be an expensive date every time I have to fill you up. So there's a little bit of dirt here on the fuel filler cap door. So I will make sure that that gets cleaned. And I am overall aware that the car is dusty and dirty. And in a future video, I will also go through cleaning. All right, getting into the back of the car, I'm gonna address kind of a bigger elephant in the room, which is the trunk. Now, as I said in a previous part of this video, that this is an E500. But that says E350. Now, what the prior owner told me is that he was in some sort of a minor accident, and the whole trunk had to get replaced. Now, in haste or other circumstances, the trunk lid was replaced with an E350 model instead of an E500. Now, being a stickler, that's not good enough. I'm not gonna let this car live its whole life telling the world it's an E350 when it ain't a 350. It's an E500. Should tell the world what it is. So, in a future video, we will get into putting the full name and glory of this car back where it belongs. Now, I don't know if there is a full difference between the E500 trunk and the E350 trunk, but I would actually bet that there is a difference. So we'll keep an eye out for one and get it replaced when we can. One thing to note, I think, from the little accident that the prior owner had, there's a little bit of bare metal exposed here, but I think that can just be kind of pulled out and buffed out and have some paint protection reapplied so that this doesn't become an issue. We also kind of see a little bit of damage here as well, but I think that that is not a problem. That can just be easily patched and repaired without real issue. Getting into the rear bumper here, I think kind of the same thing happened. Some of this might be some damage from the accident that the prior owner reported, but overall, the bumper is in good condition. It looks pretty flush with the rest of the body, although I will say that there's a bit of a decent gap and lip here between the quarter panel and the rear bumper. So that might just be a fitment issue that had to do with the accident. We'll make sure that we get that flush as it should be. The chrome itself is in good condition. Overall, looks to be pretty fine except for some scratches and maybe what looks like a little bit of Bondo to have kept the bumper intact. So we may end up just replacing this bumper so that we don't have to look at that anymore, and it keeps the look consistent. Getting around to this other side, again, the chrome seems to be in very good condition. It's all in one piece. Doesn't seem to be any damage here except for this little mark right here. But I think, barring the wrong trunk lid and a somewhat damaged bumper, the rear of the car looks pretty good. I will do one more look around at the bottom of the bumper. We can see one of the two exhausts here, and it looks pretty good. I won't say there's any real scratches or damage here. We'll see the other exhaust pipe here, and also there seems to be a tow recovery hook down here. I think that that's in pretty good condition here. Yep. So, actually that's pretty darn crusty. But I think that's kind of what you get for a car that was living in New England for most of its entire life. So we'll put you back in your nice little home, and then we'll fix that later, maybe with something new. All right, I had to put that back together off camera. I couldn't get it with just one hand. We'll just kind of do the same loop around for the driver's side. The door itself, again, pretty good condition. Need to change the chrome to match the door handle. The weather stripping has seen better days, kind of up here as well. The driver's door, and again, pretty good condition. There seems to be a little bit of a weather stripping gap here, so that needs to be replaced when we can. The chrome needs to be replaced with the door handle. And last thing I'll note here is that the side mirror, again, we kind of have that gap between the body and the mirror. We'll replace that as time permits. We have turn signal indicators that work pretty well, and a Hornet-free side mirror. Great success. All right, then the last thing we're going to get to on the exterior of the car is the hood. So right off the bat, one thing to note is that it has this vinyl wrap thing. Again, I'm not really sure what's going on here. That seems to be happening on the other side as well. I don't know if you can tell based on the angle, but we might have another vinyl wrap situation going on here. And I definitely want to address that in a later video. But it kind of looks like it might be vinyl wrap, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll leave that for now. Might be a ticking time bomb, might be fine. Other thing to note here is that we have a working sunroof. I was able to get it open during my initial review of the car. And so I actually don't really have any problems with that, which seems weird, seems wrong that I don't have any problems with it. It'll probably be like a bugger throughout my entire life with the car. It won't give me grief, but honestly, I would give this sunroof an A+. We'll get on to the rest of the car here. So we do have a dent here on the roof. I'm not really sure what happened. It might have been a purse. It might have been hail, slight hail damage, or a tree. There is another spot over there, kind of where my finger is. But the roof itself is in pretty good condition. Again, like, it's pretty rough for wear. It's dirty, I know. But all right, let's get into the interior of the E500. So, right from the get-go, it's greeting us with a compressor hello. I'll get to that in a second. But the inside looks pretty good. Looking at this front door card, the leather itself is still here. It's still pretty plush. There's a lot of wear right here where your arm would go, but that's okay. There's really nothing wrong here. This is just a grab handle. All of these switches work, which is great. All the mirror controls work, all the memory settings work, and all of the seat positions work too. But I will note that the button for the head is missing. So maybe we should call this nearly headless car. But we'll see what name we can give it later. So next, we'll get into the trunk here. Get some more lighting here to make it a more enjoyable experience here for you folks. But wanted to kind of go over some of the buttons here on the driver's door card before we get into the interior. So all of the buttons for the window, the memory seating, and all of the windows work. I also checked the trunk popper, and that works as well. The only thing missing here is the button for the driver's head control. So maybe we can call the seat nearly headless. Maybe. We'll see if the name sticks. But let's get on with the rest of the interior. So the first thing to note is that there's supposed to be a Mercedes emblem that kind of goes along this door sill, and it's currently missing, but that's a small cosmetic issue. It's okay to not have it there for now, but we'll make sure we definitely get that replaced. Looking at the seat itself, I'm impressed that there's really no severe there's no cracking at all, really, in the seat. You might be able to see that there's one or two little cracks here in the perforation, but I don't think that that's going to be causing any problems, especially once we start kind of giving this seat a rejuvenation, a cleaning, a buffering, and a massaging. Hopefully we can bring some of these cracks out and kind of strengthen the leather where we can. Looking down here at the pedal box, you can see the hood release is right here. This is a automatic, so there is no third pedal for a manual transmission. Everything else seems to be in pretty good working order. The parking brake works just fine. This cable, as far as I can tell, is part of this, whatever that is. Something for a replacement entertainment system. I don't personally love this thing. It doesn't seem to work all that well. So that and that cord will probably go bye-bye at some point. Get into the inside here in just a second. All right, what else we have going on here is that the passenger side looks just as good as the driver's side. There's no real issue, no real cracking in the leather at all. The driver's door card looks pretty good, although I will note that the door handle for the inside has some of its chrome trim peeled away. We may try to replace that a little bit later, but I will definitely call that a cosmetic issue. Go to the center of the car here. One thing I will note, just along with the aftermarket entertainment system, that there's a little like receiver thing over there. I think that's a radio receiver, better not be a personal tracker, because if it is, ugh. But just in case it's not, and it's just a radio receiver, we'll take that out when we take the aftermarket system out. Next thing to note is the air conditioning system looks to all be in good working order. No buttons are missing. Same thing down here below the entertainment system. Some of these cars, I believe, did come with cooled seats, but this one looks like to have just come with heated seats. Everything works here, including the locks, the electronic stability control, the hazard lights. We do have a center cubby bin, a little cubby bin to store stuff, and originally it was meant for, I think, a cigarette holder, but we don't do that here. So that's just a fun relic of the past. The other thing to note here is that on testing this car before I purchased, I did note that the cigarette lighter here does not seem to work. I don't know why, but I tried to plug in a device to charge my phone, and it just said, nope, no power. So that's fun. We'll make sure we get that fixed at some point, but I would consider that a cosmetic issue right now. Going to the shift knob, it is in pretty good condition. I will say that there's a bit of cracking here on the leather here. The wood itself is in very good condition. And I think that the start-stop button might actually be aftermarket. I'm not really sure. If folks in the comments can tell me if this was a standard feature on E500s back in the day, I would really appreciate that. I think that this was probably an AMG feature, or this is an aftermarket shifter, where it's from a later car that did have a push button start on the transmission shift paddle. So you can let me know. I'd really appreciate that. Moving on down to some suspension settings here. I will get into a key problem of this car, but it has four-wheel air suspension. So by default, these cars came with rear air suspension only, but there's an upgrade package where you could get four-wheel air suspension. And so this car has it. It includes an axle lifter, which does not work. And it also comes with 3-stage suspension settings. So we can get into that in the later video, but you can customize it into 2 different sport settings or a comfort setting. And I think that's really cool when it works. Next, I'll move into this main center cubby here. This, I will say, I don't know what's wrong with it. It's probably just got Skittles or something stuck in it, but it does not retract at all, and it doesn't go forward at all. I'm not really sure why, but we'll make sure to try and get that fixed. The only other thing that I think is really funny, this is the cup holder. You press the button, and it's supposed to just, there we go. That's your cup holder. You know, I don't think you can fit a big gulp in here. Maybe you can fit like a regular can of Coke if you want, or like a regular water, but I would not really call that American sized. I don't even know what I would call that. Like maybe you could fit an espresso cup or something, but that ain't American sized. But you know, the Germans, they cared apparently more about their cigarette access than their cup holders. So you will just go back there. Moving on to the front instrument cluster and the steering wheel. The wheel itself has got this like wrap around it. I'm not really sure what's behind it. It might just be some fading or some light cracking of the wheel itself. But it is overall in very good working order. I've made sure all of these buttons work. And so I really don't think there's anything to be replaced. If anything, I would just get this cover off, see what's going on with the rest of the steering wheel, and we address that when we get there. Going up into the instrument cluster itself, what I love is I love this brushed aluminum look right here as an upgraded display and part of the E500 model itself. The E350s, like the trunk is falsely saying that it is, didn't have this this nice brushed aluminum look. It had I believe, a piano black application there, and I just think that the brushed aluminum and also the white gauges are just really classy. So I'm happy I got the upgrade. The only other things to note here are that you have a little wheel, if I can focus there correctly. Hold on. There we go. You know what? Let's edit that out. Okay, the next things we'll look at here, just you have a stock here for, I believe, your turn signals. You also have some settings for your windshield washer fluid and for your wiper arms. You also have a stock up here for your cruise control, which, you know, I think could get a little confusing, especially when you're used to reaching for your turn signal and you may accidentally turn on your cruise control. So I'm glad Mercedes fixed that in the future models, but it's a little disorienting unless you know what you're working with. And then lastly, we have the Mercedes LED infrared thing for your key, so you can start it up. All right, guys, moment of truth. We'll kind of get the key in here, get it popped in. All right. You can put it in auxiliary mode. Things look good. The SOS thing over there is because the TeleAid thing, I think the subscription is long expired. I'm not going to fix it. It's an optional thing. It's not required for inspections. So unfortunately, we may just kind of leave that broken. The only thing to note that we do need to fix is it'll get to an SRS system about the airbag. You'll see that little indicator light right there. That is a warning that the passenger airbag is disabled somehow. Now, I don't know if the crease there in the dashboard is partially responsible for the airbag issue, but we need to get that fixed. That's part of the critical list of stuff to fix before we can get this thing fully inspected and we can start driving it like normal. All right, so going from auxiliary mode, we'll go ahead and get this started and see how it sounds. Now, that is the other thing I wanted to mention. As you can see, it says stop, car too low. So it has a little bit of an issue with its air suspension. From just a visual and also taking it to a local mechanic shop, the front left air strut is completely collapsed. That's why you kind of see it looking like it's walking with a limp. But the front left is completely collapsed, and the back left also is a little bit low, if not completely collapsed. So that is also a critical thing to fix before it can get it inspected. And that will be one of the biggest things that I will address in an upcoming video. I'll let you guys know when I go to fix that, and I'll take you along with me through the entire repair process. All right, next thing we're going to do here is we're just going to take it out of the garage so we can take it on a small little test drive. So I'll kind of put it in reverse here, and easy does it. Yep, so that air compressor is just working overtime to try and get it to raise this side of the car so we don't have any more of this warning message. But you're not going to go away anytime soon until we fix the issue. So stay tuned, we'll go for a ride. And before we go for a ride, just want to do a quick overview of the car while it's running. As you can see, the high beams are currently on, and it looks to be pretty good. Hopefully the compressor, there we, thank you compressor. So now the compressor is off. The car runs really well. Doesn't really seem to have any misfires at all. All the lights seem to be working just great. Yeah, the exhaust sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of a drip, but that's really not that bad. But I'm really excited to take you for a ride with it. All right, last part of this video, we'll go through a quick test drive video. I apologize for the low lighting here, but we'll try to correct that real quick. There we go. So you can see me better, and we'll be off. All right. So as I said, it drives pretty well, I think so far. You know, I will say I have to be careful getting out of the driveway because of the low air suspension issue. So, you know, when I've taken this to the mechanic, I was a little too eager, and I kind of scraped the bottom. So that might have been some of the damage you saw. But other than that, it's really not that bad. So I'll kind of take it around the block here, just for everyone to kind of see how it drives. It accelerates great. You know, it's an old car, but it still has like a nice exhaust note. It's still smooth. It still makes good power. It's still smooth. It's still fun. You know, this car again is 21 years old. It's old enough to drink, and it does drink a lot of gas. So I guess there's that. But overall, driving impressions, feels fine. You know, I don't think that there's any serious issue with it shifting. It went into reverse just fine. It's going through, you know, maybe 1 or 2 gears here while we're doing a quick little neighborhood drive. But, you know, as you can tell, it's like a boat in a typhoon, in a hurricane. It's really bouncy, really bouncy. It crashes over everything. And, you know, Pennsylvania, if you don't know, they don't have the world's best roads. So if even in a neighborhood with small imperfections, it's this bouncy, imagine what it would be like going on the turnpike with the average size pothole. Or just say a prayer and send it. So really, I think that that's the biggest issue with the driving experience, is just the air suspension is just completely bad. And so luckily we kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We fix the air suspension, we get a car that can go through inspection, and we get a much more enjoyable ride. So I'm looking forward to getting that fixed. I'm looking forward to doing everything I can to make this car as great as it once was, and also do some upgrades. You know, the weird infotainment screen is one thing. It's borderline trash, but we can do better than that. We will do better than that. So put it into the garage here to conclude the video, and we'll send out our closing thoughts. All right, so closing thoughts. What are we thinking here? Overall, this car's got some issues. I mean, what car that costs $2,000 doesn't have issues? but she's worth it. She's definitely going to be worth it. I'm really excited to start working on this car. I hope you guys are excited to follow along with me as I do the repairs, the maintenance, and the upgrades to this car over the next couple of months, maybe the next couple of years. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed what you watched. I hope that you stay tuned for the upcoming videos on repairs. And I hope that you guys like this video, you smash that subscribe button, and you stay tuned for the next video. Thank you. So you made it to some bonus content. So this is going to be a little experiment where I just see what you guys think. And it pairs with me just being hungry. So today I'm going to be nibbling on one of my favorite things in the whole world, Brazilian cheese bread, otherwise called pão de queijo. I'm going to nibble on some pão de queijo while I give my thoughts on the car, give some thoughts on being a new YouTuber, and whatever ramblings I get through while I nibble on some snacks. So, my first thought is that this car has a lot of potential. It is broken, as you can tell. It is rough, but I think there's just enough that's not broken to make it well worth my while. You know, obviously all the things that will be needed to fix it will cost a little bit more than what I bought it for. Again, I bought it for $2,000, but the critical things to put it through inspection, I think are well worth it. And I also don't think will cost $2,000 or anywhere close to that. So I think that's fine. I also think that this is just going to be a great experience for me to connect with you, to learn more about cars in general, because I've been a car nut as long as I can remember, since maybe I was 8 years old, 10 years old. I watched Top Gear for a decade plus. So it just that I have a real yearning to learn more about cars, how they work, be part of the car community as much as I can, and to give back. You know, what I've learned, what I've experienced, I want you guys to follow along in that journey and help educate and inform and just give you something enjoyable to watch all the while. But I also want to engage you guys in really good food. So, as I mentioned, I'm snacking on Brazilian cheese bread, pão de queijo. This is delicious. So this is gluten-free, full of cheese. This particular recipe is cheddar and mozzarella, and it uses tapioca starch as the binding agent here. Well, as the flour base. So it uses eggs as the real binding agent. But what's great is that it's soft, it's warm, it's flavorful, it's not super heavy at all, and as soon as you eat it, it just melts in your mouth. It's perfect. So yeah, that's it for the bonus content for now. I'll be happy to talk more about me in a future video and show you future snacks, maybe a drink or two, you know, after I'm done working on the car. But thank you for watching this bit of bonus content. I'll see you later.